Welcome to 247 Real Talk. I'm your host, Julian Perry. It's a pleasure to be here with you once again for another episode of the new, reborn, rejuvenated 247 Real Talk podcast. It's going to be a short episode this week. I've been dealing with some health challenges, and they're stemming from something I want to talk about in this episode as we share and as we empower each other to get better as human beings. Let me first thank all of you for continuing to be supporting me when I was trying to determine where to go with this podcast. So many of you reached out to me and gave me positive words of encouragement, and those either in a loving way or those who were a bit upset with me for even thinking about quitting. So I thank you all. I thank you old and new subscribers and existing subscribers. I can tell you that my knee continues to heal. Not as well, I think, as it did before. Now that I have no more physical therapy, outpatient physical therapy, but I'm doing my thing, trying my best, and we continue to go on. So when I come back, I'm going to talk about, the gift of power. So sit back, relax, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I'm back. I'm still working out a few things in the studio. If you see me stretching here and there, my equipment is located in a different place, and once I'm fully set up, I'll be able to slide the chair easier to it. I might even have the camera follow me, so you won't lose me for any moment, but there's still some boxes around me with equipment that I'm going through, and so it's still a work in progress. I've got some network enclosures. If you hear a little whining sound in the background, I've got a network switch to my left, and it has its own fans, and whenever I have to turn off the main AC in here so I can record videos, especially lengthy ones, then it seems to immediately sense the loss of the cool rapid air, and it turns on its own cooling system, and I have an isolation chamber, so to speak, but it takes time to do all this, especially since I've got two bad knees. Anyway, I just wanted to have a quick conversation with you, very short, as I ramp back up and I reinvent the direction that 247 Real Talk is going to take. Some time ago, I mentioned to you, for those who did not hear the episode, for those who did, I know some of you reached out to me about it. I went through a terrible time with a supervisor at my job, a high-level supervisor who I was reporting directly to, actually the top man in charge, a person of color who was extremely abusive, verbally and mentally abusive, that made it, had an emotional and a health impact on me for a while, because I'd been working for this person for almost 6 years as their right-hand person, and this person is a narcissist, and so they abuse the people closest to them when they should be embracing the people closest to them. This is someone who, when I started working for them, I promised them that I would always be loyal, and to this day I've remained loyal. I'm still in the same organization, but now there's a deputy to this person, another person of color. I don't know if the two of them had a conversation, because let me go back a little bit. So after the 6.5 years or whatever, the only way I could save myself was to cut all ties with that person. At this point, my role in the organization had changed, and I was not directly their right-hand person anymore, and I simply stopped speaking to them after a phone call during which they were very abusive. Now fast forward, and there's a new person, there's a deputy there, and it seems like they had a conversation, it feels like, and my name must have come up, and the fact that I cut all ties and I don't speak, other than if we have meetings and business, I promise them my loyalty. I'm always respectful to them. So even though we don't speak on a personal level, I will never break my word to them, and I'm certainly not disrespectful. That's not my nature. But their deputy must have had a conversation with them about me, or vice versa, and now they know about the relationship. And mind you, their deputy is 1, 2, 3 levels above me. So they have, there's my supervisor, and then that deputy, but somehow they're targeting me. I've been lambasted and criticized and chastised in meetings for failures that had nothing to do with me. I mean, completely nothing. I was like, if it had 10 nodes from A to beginning to end, none of those involved me. But this person has not taken the time to speak with us as a human, to learn our jobs, to actually use their years of expertise and their position to help us. What has happened is the syndrome that many people, especially people of color, and I hate to talk about this, like, about my own people. I'm a man of color, but it's a wider situation. But in this case, I talk about people of color because we are always under attack. We are always in a place where we have to do better than the person next to us to get half as far as they got. And so it is so important, not only when we strive for excellence, that we do it in a certain manner. When we get into positions where we have a certain measure of power, that we use the same empathy, the same things that we desire but may not have received in our journey upwards. We should never forget those challenges, those pains, those hurts, those tears, those emotions, those frustrations, and we should not use them as a tool of power against those beneath us. We must always remember that we need to speak with each other civilly, politely. We can be supervisors without degrading someone, demeanoring someone, or making someone feel so stressed and frustrated that they struggle to get up each day and go to a job. Not only a job they may have loved, but a job they need, the job they must have to pay their rent, to pay their mortgage. Threatening them, taking away little freedoms and perks of jobs sometimes that don't offer many freedoms and perks. This is what people do. And when you look at the bigger picture, and then please, everyone knows on my show that I've had friends from every race, creed, and color. So I'm not someone who subscribes to racism or prejudice. Sometimes when I say things, someone may take it that way, but please don't. I'm speaking the truth as it exists in our life. Real talk is about seeing a blank slate and being able to call someone something when it's appropriate, and even call myself something negative if it was appropriate by my actions. But in this particular situation I'm referring to, the people above those in my immediate hierarchy, the ones that are subjecting me to these situations, they are people. They are not people of color. They are Caucasian people, and it seems like those directly above us, our people of color, are so much more invested in pleasing them, showing them success at the expense of those beneath you. It's like I've been trying to crush these people into the ground for years, and the previous manager failed, and you bring you in and say, "Look, I got it." Right? Not literally, but you understand what I'm saying. There were achievements in our organization that were eluding the previous management, or still the existing management. But when this new deputy was not there, this deputy has used their power questionably, because some of the things I'm not sure necessarily are even within the parameters of how they're using it. But things have been done. I have been stressed. I feel personally like I have been targeted. I think because of my injuries, they have actually been mentioned and discussed. And today, and different suggestions have been made to me that would impact me so negatively financially that not only they would either prohibit me from maintaining my home. For my wife has student loans. We have bills. We have two young kids who are involved in different activities and sports that are lifting them and making a future, maybe a scholarship or something. And the suggestions that they're making would destroy my life, right? Because when you all of us, no matter how much you save or whatever you do, when you have expenses that change day to day, you often say, you're either living paycheck to paycheck or half a paycheck to next paycheck. But we're not, most of us are not that far away from that. No matter if you have a little nest egg, it can be gone like that. And so I worry about these things because I am close to retirement and I am counting on the 30-something years I have now and whatever time I can do to get to the end of reach my eligibility for a full pension, understand the cost of living is going to go up, and understand that imagine for one job. This is not my first job. I had a job before that for 5 years. I had a job before that for 3 years. I had a job before. I've worked most of my life, and I've been in this job. I'm in my 34th year. It's like you ran a race, a marathon, a triathlon maybe, and you're going through the different parts of the triathlon, and you're in the final home stretch, and now someone is coming in and putting you in a position where you have to make decisions to tap out early maybe, and lose some of what you earn. Because understand, if I retire earlier, I will lose. I will have penalties that would be taken out of the pension that I've earned at this point. No one has spoken to me. This person hasn't spoken to me directly and gotten to know me, even though in past responsibilities I've actually helped them, because I don't look at things that way. But right now I feel victimized. Maybe that's not their intention. Maybe their intention is to get things reshaped the way they want them for success. I'm not judging their intention. I'm judging their methods. When you're handed power in the palm of your hand, there's so many different ways you can choose to use that power. When I came up the ladder, as I was going from level to level, I used whatever authority I had to lift people. There's only a few times in my 30-something years of career when I've had to use my power in a power-wielding way, and that's when someone was completely dismissive of any rules and regulations, and they were harmful to their co-workers and to the environment, and they would have brought everybody down. That's when you got to put your foot down. But that's the exception, not the rule. What's even worse is we as a people still don't understand who we are. Still, people of color still don't understand what they have been through to get here. People of color still don't understand what unity is and the power in unity. People of color don't understand that when you climb the ladder and you reach the next rung, before you look at the top and say, I've arrived, look down and see the guy on the rung below you and give him an outstretched arm. Let's make it to the top together. It's not about I have to get there without you because then I can be superior and sure that I make more than you know. This is why we fail as a people. Because we are very good at persecuting and hurting those same people who support us. Those same people who one day we might need. Remember, there's that old saying that says be kind to the people you meet on the way up because you might have to deal with the same people on the way down. But some of us get such power we feel there's no way down. Some of us went through similar scenarios of unfairness, have to fight to win them, won them, and then have forgotten our journey. I say all this to say this. This morning I woke up, I had a blood pressure spike. It was probably around 190 over something. I couldn't even stand. I'm sitting here in this chair making this podcast now. My head is swinging. That's why I said it'd be short. I need to rest probably for the next 2 to 3 days. I've been through this maybe once or twice in my life before. This morning we were just about seconds away from calling the ambulance because I couldn't move. I couldn't stand. I was worried about a stroke. I was worried about my children, my family. What would happen? Yeah, I have insurance, but they don't want the life insurance. I know they want me. That's the kind of family we are. And my wife being the caretaker she is, and she is a foreign doctor, she was able to help me bring my pressure back down. My pressure is not from the stress of work we have at work. The process and what we do, I can handle those pressures. The pressures is when someone is in there grinding away at me, targeting me, violating the basics of human interaction, respect, kindness, care. Why do people believe that the same way you care about a family member, you cannot care about a coworker in a professional way and give them a reason to wake up every morning and say, I work in such a beautiful place, I can't wait to get there. And when they do something wrong, you say, listen, this is how we need to do it from now on. Not get it done now. I don't care how long it has to take. No. And that's the type of thing we're dealing with. Now, I'm not the only person in my organization who's dealing with it. It's across the board. The complaints are getting louder and people are struggling. But I think for me personally, I've been through a lot of my life. And even though I don't have high blood pressure per se, many years ago my blood pressure spiked and I've been taking the lowest dose of amlodipine. Now, I'll be open about it, 5 milligrams of amlodipine, probably for the last 25 years. Never had to raise it. Well, today I had to double up. The point being is, I was given that 25 years ago because of that one big spike, and they said, look, if you take this dosage, it won't spike. So something triggered a massive spike. And the thing that triggered a massive spike for me, again, is not the job. It's the threat of either my income. It's the threat and believe me, I show up to work every day. Whenever I'm off from work, I'm using my vacation or my sick time that I've earned. I've never been absent without leave. I've got a clean 34-year record that only has accolades, no detriments to it, no derogatory remarks on my record. And just as I'm this close to the finish line, is I'm facing one of the greatest challenges that maybe when I was 24 or 34 or 44 or 54, I could have dealt with. I can't now because it is threatening the livelihood for the rest of my life. Because I am getting older and I don't have the same dexterity to deal with the mental, emotional issues like I did when I was that much younger, because I shouldn't have to deal with it. Why can't we be civil and respectful to each other and take, even if I'm not perfect. If I have a weakness in my performance at work, there's a reason I am at the level I am. That means that I've passed certain credentials and passed certain criteria already, certain requirements. There's always somebody who knows more than we do. Brothers and sisters, regardless of whether you're white, black, red, green, purple, woman, man, regardless of anything, we are human beings first. It pains me to see that we live in a world today where we have forgotten that when we look at another person, before we make a decision how to react, how to speak, how to help, if not to help, we never consider the fact that we are human. When we see someone drop down on the street and we say, I don't want to be bothered, we never consider that the next day we can walk that same path and we can be the one who dropped down, because it is God's decision, not ours, as to what tomorrow brings and whether we open our eyes to see tomorrow. You can choose to believe what you believe, and that's your decision. But what you cannot deny is you have no control over tomorrow. We must not live to regret. We must live to uplift. I am not perfect. The people I'm referring to today are not perfect. As long as life is not over, if we self-reflect, we might not get to perfection, but we have the opportunity to change. We have the opportunity to make a difference, not only in our lives, but the lives of others. You look at other ethnicities and races along the world, and I'm segregating again for a moment. Look at how people of the same kind lift each other. We look at other countries in the world, and we see how their societies live, where they all come together so as many as possible can rise. We live in the greatest country of the world, and we keep clinging to the mistakes and the things that have brought us down, instead of recognizing what it takes and what we have right in front of us and the tools to lift ourselves and lift others. I'm in a situation where I'm sitting in this chair, like I said, my head is swinging. You might see my eyes a little crunched. Most people would say, If you're that ill, why are you in front of the camera? Two reasons. One, because tomorrow is not promised. So what I have to say to you, and the sharing of truth and uplifting and empowerment and just helping has to be shared when we have the opportunity. And two, since I started this podcast, other than I think one time when I went on vacation and I did a couple of repeat podcasts, I have never failed to deliver to you once the podcast is in existence. I told my wife, I said, I can't do it for long. I can hardly stand until I get enough rest, probably over the next few years. Because I've been through this before. Like I said, you get severe vertigo when your pressure gets that high. Even when it comes down, the vertigo doesn't stop. I'm sitting here, I may look okay, like I said, my eyes are crunched because I'm trying to suppress as much of the vertigo I can. The vertigo as I can. But make no mistake, I said to her, I'm going to record this because if I'm asking my people out there to join me, then I've got to sacrifice and join them too. And the stories and the messages must be told and must be heard. And she said, how are you going to do it? I said, I can't stand. But when I record my podcast, I sit. And I can sit long enough to speak to my supporters and the world and say, join me in making us better. Put down the sword and pick up an outstretched hand. Learn to uplift, not destroy. Not only will it be better for you, it'll be better for me and for all of those who need it. Remember, no matter what you believe in, this world has a way of giving you what you gave. If you put evil out there at the most inappropriate time for you, the worst time for you, the evil shall return. Do good to others, and good will always come to you. Even at your most desperate moments, something, somehow, will pick you up. I've decided that once I get over, I may be out of work tomorrow. I can, as I say, I can hardly stand. I'm going to end this podcast now. I'm going to go get some rest. I'll be back. But here's what you ought to know. I'm going to say this last thing and then I'm out. I'm a man of God. I always tell my dad, who is a warrior, 93 years old, going strong, but he's a warrior. And I tell him, God is faithful. And if you're going to pray, don't worry. If you're going to worry, don't pray. And the reason I'm sitting here to you, in front of you tonight, with vertigo, with a massive pressure that we had to work on all day, and we're this close to going to the hospital, is because I know God is faithful. I prayed, but I worried. I'm here to tell you, the worry is over. My battle is over. He who I belong to, I've handed it over to, because I know who I am and whose I am. Until the next time, take care of yourselves. Listen to the message. Love each other. Love yourselves and love each other.